Welcome, everyone. I am Stavros Lambrinidis. I'm the European Union Ambassador to the United States, and I am talking to you from home. Today is Europe Day, a day for peace and solidarity in Europe. And this year, it is an extra special day because it marks the 70th anniversary of the Schuman Declaration, the birth certificate of the European Union, if you like. Usually, we celebrate this day with the European Union Open House, where the European Union delegation in Washington and all our 27 member state embassies are open and welcome tens of thousands of visitors from around the U.S. This year, for obvious reasons, it's different. Together with our member states, we have gathered a series of experiences for you to enjoy throughout the day from your home. We call it, surprise, surprise, Home with the U. And all this content will be available after the special broadcast that we're doing now. Now, while we can all certainly use a bit of distraction right now, the situation with COVID-19 is serious enough to require serious action as well. From Europe to America, we have all been touched by the coronavirus pandemic, and it is a common responsibility to work together to do all we can to defeat it and to help those in greatest need. This is why today, on Europe Day, I am hosting this program, EU-U.S. Stronger Together, Aiding the Recovery. Just a few days back, on May 4th, the European Union hosted an online pledging conference with over 40 government leaders committing more than 8 billion euros to help develop a vaccine and find treatments for COVID-19. But you don't have to be a government to help out in this situation, of course. We all can do our part, however big or however small, wherever we are. So in this program, you will hear from the brave people in the front lines working tirelessly to keep us safe, from European companies in the United States stepping in to help in the local communities, and even European American chefs lending a hand. So many good people working day and night to help all of us, and they need our help too. From groups like Feeding America and Meals on Wheels, who help and deliver food nationwide, to Miriam's Kitchen here in Washington, D.C., serving homeless. There's no shortage of everyday heroes among us. I am honored to dedicate a Europe Day to showing our support and solidarity to all those heroes, and asking you from home to show support to those in need as well. Now, there are many ways for you, for us, to do our part to flatten the curve and to beat the virus. The easiest way? Stay home, practice social distancing. We know how to do this now by now, don't we? But we can also take care of our community by supporting a local charity of our choice. Please do so. And please join me in this fight, because we are indeed, Europeans and Americans, stronger together. Now, to start our broadcast, we have a special guest known the world over for his own relief work and for his fantastic cooking. And to introduce them, here's my dear colleague, Mercedes Garcia Perez.
Thank you, Stavros. Hello, my name is Mercedes Garcia. I'm the head of Global Issues and Innovation at the European Union delegation to the United States. In our work, we have the privilege to engage with a number of thought leaders who are combating climate change, making our food more sustainable, and making our planet more sustainable as well. Today, I'm joined by one of those thought leaders, Chef José Andrés, who's the founder of World Central Kitchen. World Central Kitchen has served more than 3 million meals to frontline health workers and vulnerable communities in more than 155 cities during the COVID crisis. José Andrés, thanks for joining us. Gracias y bienvenido.
Thank you. Gracias a ti.
World Central Kitchen has done a remarkable job during this crisis, as I've just described. What is the partnerships that you have created and built upon to deliver the amount of response that you have? And what have you learned from previous crises that has helped you deliver in this one too?
World Central Kitchen as an organization was founded after the earthquake in Haiti. And quite frankly, I never imagined that we will be going only from doing a few hundred, few thousand meals a day to hundreds of thousands of meals in different events we've been part of. Because people now they think we're cooks, that we show up and cook. That's only the beginning of what we do. What we do is we create distribution systems. If you have any asset, if you have water, if you have food, if you have medicines, that's okay to have them. But if you don't get them to the people that need them, equals you are not doing anything. I have a feeling like we are the kind of organization we deliver the first second. And as we show up with boots on the ground, we're able to understand the need. And so allow us to make quick decisions and adapting to the situation. Other organizations, they plan too long, they meet for too long, and sometimes is no way that you can be helping in an emergency in an office. You have to be helping with boots on the ground. And that's what World Central Kitchen does. Right now, we're doing close to 250,000 meals a day. We've already reached over 5 million. We are in different countries, obviously in the States. We cover the blind spots that the system doesn't cover. So if food banks are having an issue somewhere, we try to help there. If the school districts have an issue, we cover there. Hospitals, we are in more than 400, covering different needs during the day of the hospital. In low-income districts, we are right there. Homeless, that sometimes don't receive in moments like this any aid, we are there. So we are an organization that we adapt quickly. We spend the money before we even get it, which is a good sign for an organization. Hunger is something in these situations that is always forgotten, but is real. People that even present in our society, we didn't even recognize them.
Thank you. What's the personal moment that will stay with you from this crisis and that you will tell your grandchildren?
We're going to have a higher degree of awareness that the person delivering your pizza in normal days, all of a sudden, that person is an essential worker that is keeping many families fed and putting his life at risk. That woman that is in the supermarket cashier 8 hours every day, taking care of 200 families at a time, all of a sudden, that woman is putting herself at risk and her family by being there, taking your payment every single day. That woman, all of a sudden, is an essential worker and a hero in many ways. I don't want to mention, obviously, that is obvious, the nurses and doctors that we understand that from now on, we're never going to be seeing those men and women working in hospitals under the same light. They've raised to the occasion in ways we've never imagined.
Thank you so much, José Andrés, for having joined us today. And if you want to donate or cooperate with World Central Kitchen, please go to wck.com.
.org. WCK.org.
.org. Thank you.
The EU delegation here in DC sits right near Washington Circle, across the street from George Washington University Hospital. GW has treated world leaders and presidents, and these days, several COVID-19 patients. When we think about the people on the front lines of fighting the coronavirus, we think about our neighbors at GW. We are now joined by Dr. James Phillips, GW's Chief of Disaster and Operational Medicine. Welcome, Doctor.
Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for being on. And first, I should say thank you and all your colleagues at GW and hospitals across the country for doing what you do to help and treat people every day, and especially during this time when you're putting yourselves at risk to serve our communities. So, Doctor, tell me, we're nearly 2 months into this pandemic. What does it feel like at the hospital?
So 2 months in, I feel like we're starting to reach a bit of a steady state where we have, we continue to have an upslope in the number of patients in our area of the country. The question is, where is that going to go? It seems like the number of inpatients we have every day is just slowly creeping up. And it's the same in the emergency departments. And when we look at the modeling, the concern is that we're going to peak sometime in June. So while we're cautiously optimistic that we may be plateauing a bit, we're all still bracing for an incoming wave of new patients, particularly as things start to open up maybe a bit prematurely.
Mm. We've of course also all seen the images of the tired frontline workers. How are you holding up personally?
Well, it's a team effort. And so within the emergency department, it's a very unique group of folks. In order to go into emergency medicine, it requires a certain type of personality that tends to be more outgoing and friendly, and one that thrives on camaraderie. And so within the emergency department, we tend to keep each other stable the best we can. We're able to talk a lot, and it's a very social type of medicine. And, any day you might meet between 20 and 40 new patients. And so if you thrive on meeting new people, it's a good place to be. And that helps to keep us sane, if you will. Now, these days, we're starting to see more and more people who are coming in ill with diagnoses that we are fearful of, particularly of COVID-19. And so it does require a little bit of psychological bracing these days. Coming home is trying for most of us who have loved ones who we're concerned about potentially getting sick. In particular, if you've got young ones, or even if you're taking care of your parents in particular. For me personally, I have a 2-year-old, and my wife is due to deliver our second baby in about a week. And so for me, it's been particularly challenging from an infection control standpoint. You come home, you take your clothes off, pretty much when you're outside, straight to the shower, straight to the washing machine, and then every time you've got a tickle in your throat or a sniffle in your nose, you take notice of it. But so far, we've been good here, and I have a very supportive family.
Oh, that sounds good, Doctor. And of course, we've seen the images both across Europe of people out in the streets applauding the healthcare workers, and we've seen the same here in the U.S. So we all want to applaud you, and people may also say, well, what can we do to help? Is there anything beyond the applaud for your great work we can do?
Well, we're just doing our job. I think that the majority of physicians and nurses in the emergency department, we don't feel like heroes. We feel like this is what we were sort of called to do. We want to make sure that we've got the equipment to do it safely. But I don't think any of us are particularly looking for kudos. While they're much appreciated, and it's wonderful to have that support. Just knowing that people are aware of the job that we're doing, and more importantly, aware that they have a place they can go if they're sick. We're seeing across the country and to a degree across the world, a decline in the number of patients who are actually coming to the emergency departments, both because we're asking them to stay home, to distance physically from other people, but also we're afraid that people are staying home whenever they're actually sick and need to come see us. Patients with chest pain and stroke symptoms, abdominal pain, who are delaying their care and maybe getting sicker. So what I would say is, if you really want to help us help you. And let us encourage you that if you come to the emergency department, we're going to keep you safe from COVID-19. We're going to do everything we can to prevent infection from ourselves, to ourselves, and to patients who don't have it. And so I encourage people that if you're sick, please seek medical care. We're here for you, and we're trained to do this right.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Dr. Phelps, and stay safe.
You too, thank you.
We need to join forces and mobilize resources to develop as soon as possible a vaccine, produce it, and deploy it to every single corner of the world. And we have to ramp up work on prevention, diagnostics, and treatment. All of this requires money. That is why the European Union and many partner governments this week in Brussels organized a coronavirus global response pledging event. For more on this, here is the President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen.
I'm very proud and I'm relieved that the start of this important project was so successful. The world showed extraordinary unity for the common good. And Europe has made a significant contribution. We got 7.4 billion euros today, and the exchange rate is friendly to us. It is more than $8 billion. Of these $8 billion, Team Europe, that is the European Union and its member states, contributed more than 4 billion. And I think this is a strong signal of solidarity and of unity. But we all know we still have a steep climb ahead of us to defeat this virus worldwide. And thanks once again to all who have contributed to this success. I still remember the day in mid-March when I got a phone call from my friend Victor Zau from the Global Preparedness Monitoring Board. He convinced me of the need for Europe to take a leading role in this initiative. Well, and then exciting weeks followed, hard work, lots of phone calls with world leaders. And I also owe a big, big thank you to many colleagues from the European Commission and their services who worked so hard to make today's success possible. Now, let's move on from today. It was a good starting point. The global response to coronavirus must also include civil society and the global community of citizens. And this will be the next milestone in this marathon. We're already working on this with NGOs and other partners, and we will announce news soon. So in sum, this will be a long global fight, and the European Union is taking responsibility.
We would like to extend our best wishes to the citizens of the European Union in honor of this day. A strong and free Europe is of vital importance to us and to the whole world. From fighting terrorists to fighting for democracy and human rights to fighting the impact of the coronavirus, the United States and the EU will remain close partners and friends. So on your 70th anniversary, to all our friends in the EU, happy birthday.
Hello, I'm Greg Fischer, the mayor of Louisville, Kentucky, and the incoming president of the United States Conference of Mayors. Our city was named for King Louis XVI of France. Our city's most prominent son is Muhammad Ali, and our connections to our European allies run deep, including my marriage to Dr. Alexandra Gerasimidis, whose parents fled the Greek Civil War after World War II. It's been with heavy hearts that we've watched as the coronavirus spread from Asia to Europe and now to our country. We all know that pain of losing too many of our fellow citizens to this evil and invisible enemy. But we also know the inspiration of seeing people from all of our communities come together. We see the relentless courage of our doctors, nurses, and healthcare workers, and the compassion of everyday citizens donating money to COVID-19 relief funds, checking on elderly neighbors, or sewing masks to provide protection for those working to protect all of us. In Louisville, our musicians even came together to record a song about the ways we lift each other up in this difficult time.
Lift up Louisville. Oh, 'cause this is how we do.
To all of our friends and allies in Europe, we salute you, we stand with you, and join you in celebrating Europe Day's 70th anniversary and the sense of community that connects us across the ocean. Now more than ever, know that the people of America know the importance of strong relations between the United States and Europe. Let's keep working together, let's defeat this virus, and let's build a better and more compassionate world together.
Hello, I'm Senator Jim Risch, Chairman of the U.S. Senate Foreign Relations Committee. This year, we celebrate Europe Day in the midst of a global pandemic. From my home state of Idaho to the hard-hit cities of northern Italy, I've been glad to see the ways in which humanity has come together during this difficult time. 70 years ago today, humanity came together at another difficult time. As Europe emerged from World War II, Robert Schuman proposed that the French and Germans cooperate on coal and steel, a proposal that paved the way for what President George H.W. Bush later called a Europe whole and free. That day is recognized now as Europe Day, and it signifies friendship, cooperation, and trust of European allies. As a result of increasing cooperation over the past 7 decades, Europeans and the transatlantic community enjoy unprecedented peace and prosperity. We don't brag about it, but our transatlantic partnership has had many successes over the past few months as we have all focused our attention on combating the coronavirus pandemic. Germany has taken in French and Italian patients. The U.S. has created a robust support package for Italy and allocated significant funds for nations on the European Union's periphery. And NATO has been instrumental in airlifting supplies to European nations that have needed them the most. While Europe Day reminds us of the beginning of the friendship and cooperation that we see on the continent today, this week also marks the 75th anniversary of the end of World War II in Europe, a conflict that taught us the true value of friendship and partnership. As we begin to reopen our societies after this pandemic, I hope that Europe and the U.S. will again look to each other as key partners and friends in rebuilding. Victory Day and Europe Day are important reminders that together, as a transatlantic community of democracies, we can and will make it through even the darkest times. Happy Europe Day.
Hi, I'm U.S. Senator Chris Coons from Delaware. I'm sending this message today to our friends and our partners in Europe. At this moment where the world has stood still for weeks as we've confronted a global pandemic, it's important to reflect on the decades of peace and solidarity and partnership between the United States and Europe. I'm a member of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, a member of the European Subcommittee, and frankly an active leader in the U.S.-French caucus in the Senate and in the U.S.-UK FTA caucus. More broadly, what matters is that over decades I recognize and respect how the close partnership and the strong relationships between the United States and Europe have helped all of us be safer, healthier, and have stronger economies together. Some of the first calls I made to international representatives as this pandemic was unfolding around the world were to the ambassadors from the United Kingdom, from France, from the EU. And it's my hope moving forward that we'll be collaborating closely in developing therapeutics, in developing vaccines, and in working in partnership to help the rest of the world beat this pandemic. Here in the United States, we're often saying that we're all in this together because of the way we've seen our first responders, our nurses and doctors, our public officials, and those who help keep us clean and safe in our public spaces have put themselves at risk and have engaged in service. But I know from what I've seen of our press coverage that that's true in Europe and around much of the rest of the world. So happy Europe Day, a day when we recognize the U.S.-EU relationship and when we express our gratitude for the decades of close partnership between the United States and Europe.
Hello, I'm Travis Smith. Normally today, I'd have the pleasure of welcoming you all to EU Open House, our annual event where the delegation of the European Union and the embassies of the EU member states open our doors to the public here in Washington, D.C. But this year, due to COVID-19, we're all staying inside, and we'll be bringing the best of European Union cultures to you. Later today, go to www.euopenhouse.org or the EU and the U.S. Facebook page to check out Home with EU, a tour of cultural activities native to each EU member state that can be enjoyed right from your home. One of the easiest ways to enjoy Europe from your home? Food. Several of our member states have shared some new recipes of native dishes for you to try out. Here's a taste of what 3 of them have cooked up, starting with the chef from the Embassy of Denmark.
Welcome to the Danish Embassy in Washington, D.C. My name is Jens Fischer, and today I have the pleasure of cooking a fried flounder with sauce remoulade.
Join me for a virtual culinary visit in Cyprus and learn about our vegan way of cooking kolokasi, taro root. I will be happy to welcome you in my kitchen and share some of the secrets of our cuisine. For the past 18 years, I have been researching into our history and traditions relating to local food, and have to say that Cyprus cuisine is particular in so many ways. It is simple, yet with an intense taste. Pure and seasonal ingredients are prepared using simple processing methods, in a way that the integrity of taste is kept intact. Cyprus is a cultural bridge in the Eastern Mediterranean, and its cuisine combines elements from East and West in a balanced way, the addition of herbs and spices always being with a good sense of measure. In a nutshell, this is what makes Cyprus food unique. So let's cook together and find out. See you soon.
Good morning, good afternoon. My name is Daniel Cezina. I am the owner of Bistro Bohan, which is the only Czech restaurant in Washington, D.C. You can find more information about us at bistrobohan.com. My cultural contribution to Open House will be how to teach you make goulash. Goulash is one of the Czech traditional dishes. I will teach you a little bit more about the history as well. Obviously, there are many variations, and I want to teach you about the Czech variation, which is served with potato dumplings, bread dumplings, bread dumplings. So you can find more information on euopenhouse.org, the full video. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'll see you soon, and I'm excited to connect with you again. Take care. Have a good day.
While we cannot go out to restaurants, meals continue to be delivered. Hunger and loneliness have been an issue in our communities long before this pandemic. However, now with the COVID crisis and the pressures, economic pressures it brings, the need is even greater, especially among our seniors. We are joined today by Suzanne Washington from Portland, Oregon, where she is the CEO of Oregon-based Meals on Wheels People. Thank you so much, Suzanne, for being with us.
Happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
So year-round, groups like yours deliver meals, but how has the demand for meals grown during the COVID crisis?
The demand skyrocketed in that middle of March. We serve both Oregon and Southwest Washington state, and in both areas, the daily requests for enrolling and to get a meal went up like by 450, 500%. Just in that, used to be we got maybe 10 requests a day, and then we were getting 100 or more requests a day.
Amazing. And to get all those meals cooked and delivered, of course, it must take a lot of people. Have you got new volunteers signing in during this crisis?
Yes, two things actually happened. We had to close our congregate dining centers and go to all delivery, a no contact type of delivery. And so we had staff that used to be cooking out in these 22 different centers. We reassigned those folks to come in and help produce the meals in our central kitchen. And then volunteers, we had more than 1,000 people sign up in the first 2 weeks. So it's been an amazing kind of outpouring of support, both on the volunteer side, as well as folks who are donating funds to help us produce those extra meals.
Thank you. And in this context, we don't always think of what comes with the meal. How important is it for people, especially for seniors, to get that knock on the door and checking in with them?
I think that's the hardest part of the whole pandemic, is the isolation that seniors are feeling, and people with disabilities who are locked into their homes. They don't get that volunteer at the door every day, because most of us across the country and across the world really have gone to fewer delivery time because of the exposure, the risk of exposure. So we deliver once a day, but since they don't get to see the volunteers every day, and it's so important to check in with them, we're doing wellness check calls, and I know my peers across the country are as well, where we do wellness check calls, and we started a program for volunteers that are calling and doing friendly chatting. So the clients have signed up, those who want to talk on the phone, and volunteers are calling every day just to check on folks and have a chat and make sure they're not isolated in their homes.
And that's so important. Thank you so much, Suzanne, for joining us today. And we send our best wishes to everybody in Oregon and to Meals on Wheels, sorry. To find Meals on Wheels on your local area, please go to mealsonwheelsamerica.org.
Hi, everyone. First of all, I hope that all of you are safe and are healthy. There's no doubt that we're living unprecedented times. And these are the times where everybody needs to step up. This is the time where we all need to team up. This is not about one country, one government. This is about private-public partnership, and this is about different countries coming together. We are all a single team. We all need to fight together. We all need to come together to address the challenge that we're living. This is why I'm also asking for your help. I want to say thank you for the first responders, healthcare, essential workers, everybody that is exposing every single day to fight and help all of us every single day. With that, it's time for all of us to step up, and I encourage you to support all of us in this journey. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Thomas Bard, head of the trade team at the European Union delegation to the United States in Washington. And usually I speak to government officials and business representatives about the transatlantic trade relationship and how we can make it better and stronger, how we can avoid tariffs and address some of the tensions that we have. And one of the big transatlantic players in that marketplace is a company called Pernod-Ricard, the maker of famous brands like Absolut Vodka and Jameson Whiskey. We're joined today by Anne Mukherjee, the CEO and chairman of Pernod-Ricard North America. And thank you so much for joining us. And I would like to hear a little bit more about what this new reality that we're in now, what it means for you, for the company, and how you've been dealing with this.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for talking to me. It's great to be on. I have to tell you, this is an unprecedented time. And our focus, of course, has always been the safety and the health of all our employees, especially our frontline workers that are in our production facilities. And I think safety is on everyone's mind. It's been particularly tough for our business. I won't lie. Restaurants have closed down, and that's a large part of our business. But the governments have allowed people to do delivery and carry out, so that's helped. And there's been an uptick in terms of people consuming at home, because I think everyone's trying to get through this crisis together and enjoy a cocktail over virtual happy hours. And so, of course, that has helped our business. But we try our best to continue to be innovative and entrepreneurial in terms of how we approach our business. And, I think one day we will recover, and we're trying to get ready for that.
Yeah. Alcohol being a key ingredient in hand sanitizer, I understand your company has also been able to contribute on that front. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, I think, in times of crisis like this, private enterprise has to be a part of the public solution. And we as CEOs, not only a fiscal responsibility, but a social responsibility. And as I said, Pernod-Ricard is a very entrepreneurial organization. And, our production team, along with our public affairs team, they really came together and worked with the White House task force in terms of how can we make hand sanitizer? And we did that within 48 hours and got all the regulation approvals that we needed. We've been producing hand sanitizers now for over a month. We don't do it because we want any commercial gain. We do it free of cost. The government decides where they want that delivered, and it's really to help all the frontline workers, first responders, across all the cities in America. We have 4 different facilities producing, from our Fort Smith, Arkansas facility, as well as in Texas and Virginia, as well as Kentucky. So we have an ability to get across the United States. And of course, we're trying to help all those people affected by this crisis. Jameson brand, which relies a lot on bartenders. We try to help those that are out of work. We've supported the U.S. Bartenders Guild, and we continue to find ways to provide assistance to a lot of the hospitality workers that are out there.
I see the company is trying to create conviviality. Is that also something you're trying to bring to people's home now in this crisis?
Absolutely. I mean, look, conviviality is about people and warmth and coming together. And just because we can't physically do it, there is no reason why we can't do it in today's world of technology. And that is what conviviality is all about. And I think as we get through this crisis, the power of conviviality will actually be so big that it will bring us back together again. We will find solutions. You know, as our chairman, Alex Laikat, said, there is nothing like the power of conviviality to overcome crises like this.
Today, and we're celebrating Europe Day. If we raise our glass, what would you share as your wishes for Europe Day and European presence in the United States?
Listen, in spirit, I am, of course, with all of Europe. It is great. This is a day of unity. It's a celebration of people coming together. And that's what this is all about. And so, you know, as a company that celebrates unity and conviviality, you know, our hearts are with everyone in Europe. We are one kindred soul. And I think together, if we unite and continue to celebrate our union, there is no way we can't overcome what we're facing today.
Well, thank you, and I'm happy to drink on that. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
A word of thanks and congratulations as the European Union celebrates its 70th birthday, an extraordinary alliance that was formed in the aftermath of World War II, and understanding that so many of America's antecedents and cultural traits were born in Europe. It's a great chance for us to rekindle an old friendship and a very sturdy alliance of unwavering support for each other. Happy birthday, EU.
Hello, I'm Congressman Gregory Meeks, the United States Representative for the 5th District of New York and co-chair of the U.S. Congressional European Union Caucus. On Europe Day, I bring you greetings and warm wishes from Queens, New York, one of the most diverse and vibrant counties in all of the United States of America. In the midst of this global pandemic, we march on firmly and resolutely to fight this novel threat and to honor lives lost to COVID-19. Though New York City remains in the eye of the storm, we are confident because we do not stand alone, but together with our European allies. On both sides of the Atlantic, communities, both big and small, are banding together to ensure the most vulnerable in our societies are cared for. Educators are utilizing technology so students can continue their studies, and delivery drivers and transport specialists moves precious cargo, ensuring our communities remain fed and warm. Federal, state, and local governments, first responders, essential workers, and the entire medical community are on the front lines responding to this formidable foe. These scenes of bravery are repeated not only here in the United States, but across the shores of our European friends. And I remain grateful for our frontline workers and their selfless service. This spirit of sacrifice and the willingness to run towards danger represents the very best of us all. There's an old axiom that says two are better than one. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. Despite these extraordinary challenges, Europeans and Americans are united and working together for peace, prosperity, and health. Previous strong bonds forged in times of peace now undergird our societies as we wage war to defeat this pandemic together. As our scientists decode the genetic mysteries of COVID-19 and race toward a cure, this is not a time to be pulled apart, but to stand firmly together and side by side. So on behalf of the United States Congress, I wish you a happy and healthy Europe Day and look forward to the time when we can meet again. Special thanks to Ambassador Lambrinidis and the entire European Union mission for their tireless work to keep the bonds of unity strong between the United States and Europe. Happy Europe Day.
If all this social distancing has made you feel far apart from friends and families, our next guest can relate in a pretty big way. Andreas Monson is an astronaut with the European Space Agency, and he lived on the International Space Station in September 2015. It was the first space flight ever by a Danish national. He now joins us from down here on Earth, and I should say Houston more precisely. Welcome, Andreas.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and thanks for joining us for Europe Day. We're celebrating solidarity, how we in Europe and the United States really are stronger working together. Now, let me ask you, when you were on the space station, you must have felt that international collaborative spirit pretty intensely. How did you Europeans get along with the American counterparts from NASA?
Well, the International Space Station is a perfect example of what we can achieve together through international cooperation. The space station is probably the biggest, most complex engineering structure that humanity has ever built. And it's only possible thanks to the collaboration, not only between the United States and Europe, but also Russia, Japan, and Canada. In fact, it's probably the most important lesson that we've learned from the International Space Station, how important international collaboration is and how much we can achieve together, which is also why now that we're working to return humans to the moon and prepare for humans to Mars, we're taking that international collaboration with us. And especially the United States and Europe, we're working very hard together at the moment to return humans to the moon within the next decade. So international partnership, international collaboration is paramount, especially in space. And we really understand how much we can achieve through it. And it is also very much applicable to what we do on Earth.
And speaking on Earth, of course, we have, unfortunately, the COVID-19 pandemic happening here on Earth right now. And I know a lot of people are feeling really intense loneliness during this time. Social distancing can make one feel pretty isolated. Of course, not quite as isolated as being 250 miles out in space as you. So I thought you would be the perfect candidate to ask this question here. What are any advice you would have for those feeling too distant from their loved ones during these times?
Well, it is a challenging time, that's for sure. And there are similarities with life on board the International Space Station. The best advice I can give is to try to maintain your normal daily routine. Set your alarm clock for when you would normally get out of bed, have breakfast, go to the bathroom, have that same daily routine, start your work at the same time, and then just focus on the things that you can control. A lot of things are out of our hands. When will society reopen? When will the pandemic end? These things most of us can't control. And if we focus on them, it's very easy to feel despondent, to feel despair. So just focus on what you can control and maintain contact with your loved ones. Try to exercise, try to stay healthy. There's really is no secret formula, but just doing the everyday normal things that you would do, try to maintain that.
Thank you. That's great advice. Do you actually, when you're in space, do you exercise? Do you keep in shape up there?
Exercise is very, very important. Being in space in weightlessness is very similar to being bedridden. And if you imagine yourself staying in bed for weeks or months at a time, you can imagine the loss of especially muscle mass that occurs. So exercising in space is a requirement. Typically, we exercise up to 2 hours every single day in space.
Okay. And Andreas, as we mentioned in the intro here, you work for the European Space Agency, but you're working out of Houston. So tell us a little bit about how the situation is on the ground where you are right now in Houston in terms of dealing with this pandemic.
Well, Houston has been under self-isolation orders for the past month and a half now. So it's very similar to a lot of places in Europe. Fortunately, we haven't been quite as hard hit as some other places, but most of us have been working from home for the past month and a half. We are today, on the 1st of May, looking to reopen the economy slightly. So we'll see what the month of May has in store for us. But as in so many other places, it's very uncertain here.
Okay. Well, Andreas, thank you so much for taking the time. Thanks for representing the EU in space, I should say, and also helping us feel a little down to earth as we go through the challenges of social distancing together.
No, my pleasure. It was a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you.
Hello, Eddie Izzard here. Happy Europe Day.
from everyone in Europe, even if they're positive or negative about Europe. I am a positive person. I'm a proud British European. And America, hi to you, North America, South America, everyone in the world. This is a good time for, instead of separation, pulling apart, being very separate, but trying to be together at a time of social distancing. I think all the leaders of every government in all the world should be trying to get an inverse Manhattan Project that just comes up with a vaccine. That would be a wonderful thing to get out of this, the idea of us all working together. So that's my thought, probably a lot of people's thoughts, but working together as opposed to working separately. The idea that we're all humans, 7.7 billion of us, rather than separation, stick our heads in the ground. Anyway, so happy Europe Day, happy America Day. I'm making days up here. Happy Asia Day, happy Africa Day, Australasian Day, North and South America Day, Antarctica Day. Have a good day and stay safe. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Remember, after the show, there's still more ways to stay connected with the European Union. Our Home with EU campaign is bringing the cultures of Europe straight into your house with activities native to every EU member state. These activities will remain online throughout the rest of May, free for you to experience while staying home and saving lives. Now, if staying home has got you feeling a little cabin fever and perhaps dreaming of venturing off to European shores, I turn it over to our next guest, who knows European travel a little better than I do.
Hey, I'm Rick Steves, and today we celebrate the 70th anniversary of the Schuman Declaration, a declaration that paved the way for the founding of the European Union. And with the crisis we're in together today, the fundamental ideals of the EU are more important and more inspirational than ever. I believe that the existential challenges of our future will be blind to borders. Rather than fight with military hardware, they're going to be fought with caring communities, sharing and working together for the greater good. As the art of the euro currency illustrates so beautifully, featuring bridges rather than walls, it will be in building bridges rather than building walls that together we will find solutions. While some will still seek stability by win-lose arrangements, we'll find that in the future, win-lose is actually lose-lose, and only with win-win can we move forward together in a sustainable way. Today, while there can be no sharing of cultures physically with a big and multinational open house, we can gather virtually, as we are now, to celebrate the ideals of the European Union, and to know that such a spirit of working together, working with mutual respect, is how we will lay the foundation of a future for all nations that celebrates diversity, fosters prosperity, and guarantees freedom for all. You know, there's too much fear in America these days. And my mission in my TV production, in my guidebook writing, in my tour guiding, is to equip and inspire Americans to be open to the other 96% of humanity, to venture beyond Orlando, and to see Europe as a springboard for world exploration. My mission is to help Americans travel in a way that they'll be able to bring home that ultimate souvenir, a broader perspective. And as a lifelong Europhile, I'm happy to be with you today to say thank you for your work and to wish you happy travels, even if we'll all be staying home for a while. Best wishes. Ciao.
Thanks, Rick. And since none of us are indeed jumping on a plane anytime soon, we're bringing some European travel experiences to you with Home with EU. The Italian Embassy gives us an online tour of a new exhibit about the life of famed artist Raphael, and the Embassy of the Netherlands shows us one of the largest transatlantic gifts, which is hiding in plain sight right here in Washington, D.C.
Two pivotal works date from the time Raphael decided to leave his native lands and take up residence in Florence. The Lady with a Unicorn, which he painted immediately after seeing the Mona Lisa while it was still being executed by Leonardo in his Florentine workshop, and the painting known as the Vision of a Night, probably completed shortly before his departure for Florence. The Oxford drawing with the face of a boy and the study of a left hand resting on a sheet of paper afford a glimpse of the genius that the adolescent Raphael would become. The Uffizi self-portrait emblematically closes the exhibition, With his progressive rise to legendary status, this depiction of Raphael as a young man, untouched by time, has become the universal image of the artist endowed by nature with an almost supernatural grace and amiability.
The Dutch people, the generation of my parents and grandparents, gave the Netherlands carillon to the people of the United States for their help in liberating our nation and for the Marshall Plan that helped rebuild the Dutch economy. We created this exhibition for our year-long campaign 75 Years of Freedom, which commemorates the end of World War II.
Pete Buttigieg, bringing greetings from South Bend, Indiana. We come together today to celebrate Europe Day and to show how important the transatlantic relationship is, now more than ever. As we've seen over these past months, so much depends on global cooperation and on partnerships between nations. Some of you may know that my own father, Joseph Buttigieg, immigrated to the United States from Malta in the 1970s. I believe Malta is a wonderful example of the strength of European solidarity, an island nation of less than 500,000 people that carries important weight and has taken its place among the community of member nations. We need more partnerships among people and among peoples at a time like this. There's no doubt that this virus has had an indelible impact on all of our lives. And through all of the pain and the difficulty this moment brings, it has also highlighted the strength and the resilience of the human spirit. We have seen how nations, people, individuals, organizations around the world have come together. Doctors, nurses, grocery store workers, public transportation employees, so many stepping up in their own way, together and individually, to help flatten the curve and save lives. I am thankful to each of you for playing a part, and I know that you are engaged with your own local communities to help where you can. Together, we will get through this crisis. Thank you, and stay safe.
Hi everyone, good morning. This is Davide Riboni. I'm the CEO and President of Lavazza Group in North America. It's an honor and privilege to record this video for you, and I'm doing so from my New York home, where I moved in 2016 to lead the Lavazza operations in North America. Being Italian, working for a European and Italian food giant, having a lot of business in North America, having an office and a lot of associates employed here in New York City, being in coffee business are all elements we consider when we decide to take some initiatives to give back and to be proactive in the support during the COVID-19 outbreak. So early on in the stage, we decided to partner with several hospitals, fire departments, police departments, and police stations to donate something that we have in our warehouse, which is coffee, which, as you know, is very needed in situations where you have to work around the clock, where you have to stay up and take care of the people that they do need your help and your support. So we partner with several hospitals in New York City, in Los Angeles, in Chicago, in Miami, all over the place, in big and in small cities, to just donate coffee brewers and coffee to these people that are taking care of ourselves. We, I believe, donated more than 50,000 bags of coffee in just a little bit more than a month, and we'll keep doing so, and we're keeping this coffee flow ongoing. Being very proud of being Italian and European, we also know that what it means, which means to me to do business, but also do good business. That's also why we at Lavazza decide to support also all our partners and customers and suppliers and third parties that are working with us in this situation, to simply be there for them and with them. We have been hit obviously as well because we are in business. So we have a lot of away from home business, so what we call on-premise away from home business. But our partners, that most of the time are tiny little businesses, have been hit even more than us. So this is my message today. So Lavazza is trying to do his piece in supporting who's protecting us all and taking care of the community that we're living on and the partners that we have in the market. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Viva Italia. Thank you, Europa.
Hi, my name is Javi Quiñones, and I am the CEO and CSO for IKEA in the US. At IKEA, we have a very simple yet very powerful vision, which is to create a better everyday life for the many people. This vision guides us in the way we act and take decisions. And it is part of this vision, and it is part of our culture and DNA to be close to the communities and to be a good neighbor wherever we operate. These days, it is more important than ever to be close to the communities and to support people. That's why in IKEA US, we have committed to contribute with 1.6 million to relieve some of the efforts across the US. We have been in contact with our partners at the American Red Cross, Fit America, and many other government and local authorities. We found out the best way to support some of the communities was through the blood drivers, temporary hospitals, and shelters. And this is where the majority of our support has been going. On top of that, we have had all the units supporting the local and the neighborhoods where we operate. And we have IKEA Group, and we heard about IKEA Retail supporting and helping across the world with a commitment of 26 million euros. And not to mention the work that we are doing together with the IKEA Foundation and Inter-IKEA. We have also donated 30,000 masks, N95, to support medical organization and the healthcare co-workers across the country. And before closing, I would like to say a massive thanks to all the volunteers, healthcare co-workers, and all the communities and people that has stand up and support people through this pandemic. And I would like to also mention and thanks our co-workers and their commitment that they have shown during this period in supporting also the local communities. So with that, I would like to close by saying that it is now the moment when being together is more important than ever, and together we will make a much better future. Thank you.
During this time of social distancing, many of us have had to change how we operate, making sacrifices for the greater good of all. A lot of people talk about COVID-19 as a silent enemy, a hidden danger, and it's similar with hunger. Amid this crisis, we recognize the need to feed those around us, to help them get that next meal. That's why we're glad to show our support today for local groups like DC's Miriam's Kitchen. And today we're joined by May Powers, Chief Development Officer for Miriam's Kitchen. May, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And May, I think it's almost become a sport showcasing your bookcase during these social distancing times. I'm glad to see we're both putting our books on display.
Trying to stay well read during all of this.
Absolutely. At least that's one advice we can give to people, that during social distancing times, maybe it is a good time also to read that book you never got around to reading before.
Yes.
Now, we wanted to talk to you a little bit more about Miriam's Kitchen. We at the EU have been glad to have staff volunteer with Miriam's Kitchen in the past before this crisis. But for those not familiar with your kitchen and your operation, can you briefly share with us what you do?
Yeah, so the mission of Miriam's Kitchen is to end chronic and veteran homelessness in Washington, D.C. We have about 1,500 people who are experiencing chronic homelessness in Washington. And what Miriam's Kitchen does is to provide direct services like meals, case management, street outreach, and we also help house people and help them stay housed. But we also have an advocacy team to help make sure we are trying to fix the systems that are making populations more vulnerable to homelessness and make it harder for them to escape it. So we are working on multiple fronts to serve our neighbors who are living outside.
And of course, now with the pandemic, I would imagine that the need is even greater. How has the situation changed these past few weeks for Miriam's Kitchen?
Yes, so our guests experiencing homelessness were already in vulnerable situations, and the basic protocols to wash your hands or stay at home when you're sick, our guests are unable to do that. And so closing was not an option for us, and even, the needs of our guests are greater, as you mentioned. So we continue to serve meals. It's the #1 priority for our guests across all programs. And so we're doing that in our new dining rooms that are stationed outside instead of inside. We canceled volunteer shifts, so we miss our volunteers greatly, but we just felt that it was necessary to keep everyone safe. And we're doing things to providing meals through our street outreach team and giving grocery bags and essentials to our residents who are housed. So we're providing about 350 meals a day and continue to support our guests in the many ways that they need us right now.
And you mentioned, of course, you have canceled volunteers, but I'm sure there are ways our viewers can still help. So how can they help Miriam's Kitchen?
Yeah, so a great physical distancing appropriate way to support our work right now is really to donate. And by donating, you are helping to provide, emergency supplies like masks, hand sanitizers to our frontline workers, as well as to our guests, as well as meals and more. And the way you can do that is by visiting our website at www.miriamskitchen.org, where you can donate and also just see more information on our frontline work and how we're responding to the crisis.
Okay, that sounds great, May. Thank you so much for joining us. And on behalf of the European Union here in DC, our sincere gratitude to all the staff and volunteers for the work you do at Miriam's Kitchen, reminding us of all the good that is out there.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Muriel Bowser, the Mayor of Washington, D.C. I'm honored to join in this virtual celebration of the 70th anniversary of Europe Day. The world has been united under unfortunate circumstances by this pandemic. But amidst so much tragedy, we have also witnessed the very best humanity has to offer. In countries around the world, we have cheered on courageous healthcare workers, comforted our grieving neighbors, found new ways to connect with distant friends and family, and save lives by making tremendous sacrifices. We are reminded now more than ever of how connected our world is. We know that this is especially true for the United States and the European Union. We have been there for each other through the good, the bad, and everything in between. We are indeed stronger together, and together we will get through this. I am delighted to wish you a happy Europe Day. Stay safe and stay healthy.
Hi, I'm Andrés Pasachix. About this time we should be on the court with Wizards playing games. But because of all this situation, we have to stay at home, like all of us. I'm just making sure that I'm working out every day to stay in shape, to be ready to get back on the court. So this corner is my best friend right now. He helps me a lot. I'm working out every day. And to stay positive, I'm reaching out to my friends and family every day. That helps me a lot. I suggest you to do the same thing. And if you can, try to help the families in need. A lot of people lost their jobs right now, so it's really hard for them. So let's just stay home, stay safe.
I'm Davis Bertans. Around this time of year, we were hoping to make a playoff run with the Wizards. Unfortunately, the season was canceled, and right now, trying to stay in shape any way I can if the season resumes. But remember that we're all in this together. We gotta stay together. We gotta find a way how to beat this. You can still work out. You can be creative. Find a way how to stay in shape or be healthy. But as long as you stay indoors as much as possible. And remember, you can also help in any other way with charity, food banks, or on any other way that you can help the community. So please stay at home and stay safe, and we will beat this together.
Hi, I'm Chris Van Hollen, and I represent the great state of Maryland in the United States Senate. And I'm proud to join today with our European partners to celebrate the 70th anniversary of Europe Day. We are engaged in a great battle against a common foe, the coronavirus. And we've learned from the past that the best way to defeat a common foe or to achieve any victory is by working together. Here in my state of Maryland, I see neighbors reaching out to neighbors in their time of need. People going to get groceries for those who can't. People collecting food assistance. People making masks and gowns for the nurses and doctors on the front lines. And it's that same spirit of working together that motivated the founders of Europe, the builders of the European Union, to come together, recognizing that working together, they were stronger than each alone. And it's in that same spirit that we must continue to revive and renew the ties of the transatlantic alliance. The United States and the European Union working together to defeat this virus and also to confront other challenges. And as we do so, we want to give special thanks to the people in all of our countries and in Europe and in the United States who are on the front lines battling this virus, and also to reach out to those who are most in need. So I want to salute all those who are coming together at this time to fight the virus, to help those in need, and to renew the spirit of coming together in Europe and the great spirit behind the transatlantic alliance. We are stronger together, just like communities are stronger together when they're helping one another in a time of need.
Hi, this is Congressman Brendan Boyle, coming to you from my house here in the city of Philadelphia, the birthplace of American democracy. I wanted to take a moment and wish you and everyone a happy Europe Day. I am a proud supporter of the European Union. It is the longest and most successful peace process in the history of the world. And especially at a time like this, we must celebrate that and never take it for granted. Likewise, we can never take for granted the importance of the U.S.-EU relationship. Just like after the ashes of World War II in the 1940s, we saw that the U.S. and Europe, strong, vibrant democracies working together, made the world a safer and better place. That's still the case today. And going through this coronavirus crisis, I think, is a reminder yet again that we are stronger together. So from all of us here in Philadelphia and indeed around the United States, happy Europe Day.
Hello, this is Congressman Michael McCall, Republican leader of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. While continuing to support our citizens at home, the United States and our European allies and partners realize the virus knows no borders. Together, we are helping combat the spread of COVID-19 around the world. The United States is the largest donor to the COVID-19 response efforts around the world, building on over 2 decades of sustained U.S. global health leadership. Since the outbreak began, the United States has provided more than $900 million to over 120 countries in life-saving global health, humanitarian, and economic assistance to combat the virus. Meanwhile, the EU is mobilizing to help fight the spread of the disease and mitigate the social and economic consequences of this pandemic. Their work has targeted the most vulnerable countries and people around the world. Finally, NATO has completed strategic airlift missions, built field hospitals, and deployed thousands of military medical personnel to aid the COVID-19 fight, proving the United States and Europe are always strongest when we work together. This virus is devastating for communities across the globe, and I want to thank the first responders, healthcare workers, and all those on the front lines in the United States and around the world currently battling the coronavirus pandemic. We are all eternally grateful. In my home state of Texas, I've witnessed local restaurant owners donating meals to our first responders and medical professionals. Here in Texas, we don't let our circumstances define us, but instead are determined to change those circumstances and push forward. Like our local communities in Texas, the world is proving we are stronger together during these difficult times. History has shown time and time again that when the United States and our European allies harness our transatlantic relationship and stand united in our shared values and respect for democracy, we can overcome any crisis. We are committed to working together and helping the world heal and overcome this pandemic.
Hi, my name is Stefan Merks. I'm the CEO of Carta Mundi. We are a Belgian family-owned company, 7 generations, and proud to be so. We are considered by our customers as the world market leader in paper-based toys manufacturing. And we also proudly own the bicycle brand, very well known by consumers in the United States. We are based out of Belgium, which is a country in Europe. And as we're celebrating the 70th anniversary of Europe and our relationship with the United States, we're also very proud to state here today that the majority of our 500 million euro in revenues are generated for 60% in the United States. We have an employment of about 1,500 people in the United States in 3 large factories. One is based in Massachusetts, where we manufacture great games for Hasbro called Monopoly, Clue, Connect 4. But we also have a great factory in Kentucky, in Erlanger, where we manufacture, amongst others, the famous bicycle brand, and of course in Dallas, where we do a lot of trading card games. Due to this crisis, also Carta Mundi has been affected, and I must say I'm very proud of our teams because they tremendously stepped up in these unprecedented times. They converted our factories for making these great face shields that we now produce at the rate of 50,000 per week, and we donate them to hospitals, elderly homes, and people who are currently in front of this virus every single day, the real heroes of this crisis. And so very proud to say that our company is stepping up in a big way worldwide, but also in the United States. I want to conclude by congratulating our 2,500 workers around the globe for their agile behavior and obviously all the initiatives, amongst others, this face shield and the speed with which they converted our factories in providing essential medical equipment and protective gear. And a very big thank you to all involved in making this a great experience for consumers in need, for sharing the magic of playing together. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Alicia Perez Porro, President of the Association for Spanish Scientists in the U.S., where we build bridges between European and U.S. scientists to enhance cooperation. These days, we are seeing the importance of science in confronting a global crisis, whether the current coronavirus pandemic or the climate crisis, as we are also witnessing how international scientific cooperation is accelerating scientific breakthroughs and innovation. Cooperation and solidarity are more important than ever. Cooperation between governments, international organizations, the private sector, citizens from the world. We are all together in the same planet. As a European scientist married to a non-scientist U.S. citizen, I know how challenging cross-cultural cooperation sometimes can be. But as a mom of 2 dual citizen children, I also know how amazing the results are when we succeed.
Having lived and worked in the United States, as well as in Europe, I can tell you firsthand that we are truly stronger together. on this 70th anniversary of the Europe Day, I hope we all take a moment to think about what can we do for each other, whether it is a neighbor next door or across the Atlantic. We can truly solve common challenges together. I believe that only together we will be able to overcome common challenges and the current crisis. Best wishes to everyone in Europe, as well as to everyone in the United States.
Once more, today is Europe Day. And in replacement of our annual EU Open House, we're bringing the many cultures of the European Union out of our doors and through yours today throughout the end of May with Home with EU. Now, we've outlined some of the food and travel experiences that are available, but there's plenty more waiting for you as well. Check out www.euopenhouse.org for music from Austria, Croatia, Estonia, Lithuania, and Spain, embassy tours from Germany and Latvia, more recipes from Malta, Luxembourg, and Poland, performances from Sweden, Bulgaria, Finland, Ireland, Portugal, Slovenia, and Slovakia, educational videos from Belgium, and a variety of other experiences from Romania, Hungary, Greece, and France. All of these experiences can be enjoyed at home and will be available to you throughout the end of May, so you've got plenty of time to discover and sample some new European cultures while staying home and saving lives.
We are joined today also by Scott Keogh, CEO from Volkswagen. Scott, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Scott. Can you tell us a little bit about what this crisis means for Volkswagen and for your operations in the United States?
Well, for us, it's obviously massive. We have 8,500 employees. We have 35,000 dealer employees. So first and foremost, this is an absolute health and safety emergency. And it means nearly 8,500 employees are working from home for the last 8 weeks. It means our factory in Chattanooga, Tennessee is shut down, and our 30 to 40 facilities across the country are shut down. I think the second thing, of course, is how do we operate under this new normal? Transportation in many regards is essential, so people do need to keep moving in certain parts of the country. So we have to look after our parts centers and, of course, our ports and our dealers that are still open. But health and safety is absolutely what's so crucial to us.
Have you also, and has the company also been able to contribute to fighting the crisis more generally, these health concerns that are around us?
We have. Look, the theme of Volkswagen as our marketing campaign is drive bigger. And in essence, it means always do something bigger than yourself. So our primary responsibility is, of course, looking after all of our employees, making sure they're safe, and making sure, frankly, they're employed and have paychecks. And that's something that's important to us. We also look after our customers. We're doing all sorts of things on deferral, all sorts of things that they can, the affordability crisis that's hitting many Americans. But of course, we want to do more than that. And some of the crucial things we've done is we've turned our automotive supply base, and instead of feeding into our factories, they've been actually producing masks. If you look at a supplier that we have, Fabricia, that's the fabrics for the interiors and the seats in our cars, they are now making 1 million masks a week. They were able to do this with our engineers, our purchasing executives. We purchased the first 100,000 masks. We donated them to New York City in the peak of the crisis. We also have a lot of 3D printers down in Chattanooga in Tennessee. These 3D printers are now making face shields for the hospitals in Chattanooga. And our dealerships are involved. We made 7,000 Volkswagen available. And these vehicles are being used to bring food to community centers. These vehicles are being used for nurses who don't want to take public transportation. So we really want to continue to do more. It's not just enough to survive a crisis. You need to actually do more and drive bigger, in our opinion.
That's very impressive, Scott. As we are celebrating Europe Day today, do you have any thoughts or wishes for Europe, and of course also for transatlantic cooperation between Europe and the United States?
You know, I think the first thing for me, I have a very personal link to Europe, obviously. Nearly 100 years ago, my grandmother, all alone, an independent woman from Ireland, packed a suitcase and got on a boat, and she set foot in America. And if she didn't take that journey from Europe here to America, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be the CEO. My family wouldn't be here. I think it's also worth noting she became a nurse. She worked in Kings County Hospital. which is one of the hospitals in Brooklyn right now in the COVID crisis that is under such duress. My mother worked in that hospital as well. So if I think about America and Europe and transatlantic, I think obviously your theme of stronger together is exactly right. When I look at this COVID crisis, it proves one thing. This myth of countries and institutions and people can go and do it alone. I think the honest answer is we can't do it alone. We are stronger together. We can do it better together. The two things for me as I look at is first is the health issue. I'm convinced working together we can develop vaccines. I'm convinced working together we can share smarter and better solutions on that front. Coming out of the health crisis, of course, we're going to collectively need to get our economies going. What does this mean? This means open trade. This means lower tariffs. This means innovation. This means collective jobs. This means employment. And again, I think there's been a rise in individualism. There's been a rise as I can go it alone and solve it alone. And that is not going to do it. We will and can be stronger together. I believe it as an individual, and we certainly believe it in Volkswagen. I think one of the strong examples is our factories. You know, the learnings that we're getting from China to Wolfsburg is now going to be applied in Chattanooga to keep our employees safe and get them employed and get the country moving again. So I couldn't be prouder to have European background, and I couldn't be prouder to be part of this great event. Thank you.
I'm Maryland Governor Larry Hogan. Each year on Europe Day, the European Union celebrates unity and cooperation through good times and bad. This year, the devastating impact of COVID-19 looms large, not only over Europe, but over our entire world. As we face this global pandemic, it's important to remember that we're all in this together, and we will get through this together. The United States has no stronger partner than our European allies. We have worked closely to help advance a transatlantic agenda based on a common history, shared values, and enduring ties. I've said before that our relationship is vital to global prosperity. Now, as we face truly unprecedented challenges, it will be more important than ever to stand shoulder to shoulder and work together on behalf of the people we serve. I wish you all the very best in the weeks and months to come, and I look forward to our continued partnership.
Boy, what a show, and what a special bond the EU and the US have together. Dear friends, in this time of crisis, there really is so much good happening around us. So many people lending a hand, countless everyday heroes doing an immense amount of good. On Europe Day, we are reminded how we Europeans turned from war and strife to working together in unity and peace. It is in our European DNA. And because of that, Europe flourished. We know, because we have lived it, the value of working together to find common solutions to terrible crises. We at the European Union are so fortunate to have so many friends and partners in the United States. And those friendships and those partnerships mean so much more in these difficult days. So we are in this together. And the only way to get out of it is together. To all essential workers and relief organizations across communities in both the EU and the US, a heartfelt thank you. To those watching at home, I hope you will do your part. And keep in mind, always remember, we are stronger together, Europeans and Americans, and together we will win this fight. Now, dear friends, thank you for watching. This brings us close to the end of our broadcast, and to all of our guests who join us, we are so grateful for your support. If you would like to see what our EU member states have shared to make your stay at home a little more enjoyable, please follow our hashtag HomeWithEU posts on Facebook and on Twitter. And finally, we will leave you with one more message of hope and unity and solidarity, a special song for us Europeans, the European Union anthem, Ode to Joy, sung by Grammy Award-winning and world-famous soprano from Finland, Karita Mattila. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Ambassador Lambrinidis. Greetings from me, Karita Mattila, currently keeping my social distance here in Finland, but longing to get back to my home in Florida. I send my heartfelt greetings and wishes and thanks to all of those working in the front line to combat this wretched disease, which is creating so many difficulties in our lives. Hopefully, these few lines from Ode to Joy, everybody knows this, now improvised by me here, will give you a little joy and hope. Okay.